Hello, and welcome to today's session on shining the light of gratitude. I am so excited you're here with me today. It is my hope that as we enter into a time of giving thanks, that this presentation will offer you an opportunity to appreciate the goodness that surrounds you, no matter what life circumstances you might find yourself in. Let's face it, life feels really difficult right now from so many different aspects, and that difficulty will look different to each one of us. But when we acknowledge our suffering with an open heart and compassionate awareness, things can change. Today, we will explore the trap of a scarcity mindset, how that is fueled by society, and what we can do to begin changing the narrative from within ourselves. Seeking ways to enter into the magic of grateful living can support our growth and wisdom when faced with life's various challenges. In fact, gratitude brings us into self-presence, or our divine source, who is more powerful, generous, and loving than we could ever imagine. We may not be able to move mountains by ourselves, but when we lean into our divine source, magic happens. We are living in a society built to thrive on creating a scarcity mindset, keeping people locked in fear and trying to manipulate others for selfish gain. This society has shifted towards a wants-based society, which fuels envy and greed with endless hankering. Advertisers manipulate our minds into believing happiness is found in the next new iPhone or the next new car or the better job, keeping us believing the grass is greener over there and not right here. Take a look at the news and you can clearly see how fear is a tactic used to keep us from critically thinking. Those in power know that fear can breed conformity, but in reality, it is fear that has them locked in their endless hankering. We are constantly bombarded with doom and gloom, which then programs our brains into believing in this scarcity mindset. Look around and maybe even look within. How many people are walking through life believing they aren't enough, that they aren't talented enough, or good enough, or worthy enough? This whole ideal of performing and succeeding on an external level further puts us into self-limiting beliefs that then result in us becoming our own worst enemies. I have been caught all too often in the race for perfectionism, for what others told me a successful life was. And I lost sight of how one small action rooted in loving service was actually the greatest success. The moment we recognize and name shame, we can begin unpacking that which was thrown upon us and that which no longer serves our forward movement towards who we were meant to be. Many philosophers have commented that there is enough on this earth for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. We are currently living in deep uncertainty because of those in power being consumed by greed and endless hankering for more material wealth at the expense of others' basic needs. This is a very real and devastating aspect of living life in this day and age where everything is getting more expensive and wages are hardly budging. So yes, society does play a huge role in cultivating a scarcity mindset. And yet there are those who have lived through famine, concentration camps, and deep oppression who point to gratitude as being the antidote to fear. We will visit the story of one such person in a little bit. As you hear about these different aspects of scarcity mindset, can you see how it has been woven into the fabric of society and into the fabric of how you live your life? What stands out as being a trap that you have found yourself in? Where have you gotten caught in the web of societal expectations, fueled by always hankering for more in a world where everything we gain is ultimately lost? Taking time to ponder these questions requires courage and faith. Knowing we have the capacity to change the narrative is the first step in moving ourselves out of believing lies and remembering our eternal nature, which is filled with inner knowledge and ultimate bliss. Let's take a look at some ways shifting our narrative towards gratitude can change the tide. Here are 3 quotes I found to be powerful from a spiritual, physical, emotional, and psychological standpoint. Let's start with gratitude makes space for divinity's grace. When we are grateful, we are counting our blessings. We see how we are being cared for and our needs are being met, even though that might appear different than what we envisioned. Gratitude makes space for the unknown through trust, through looking back on our lives and seeing how we have been supported by a power greater than ourselves in our time of greatest need. Gratitude points us towards what we value. It reminds us that our values are more so character traits than material success. And when we live in alignment with our values, we inherently become grateful. In positive psychology, the mindset of gratitude and focusing on 5 positive things daily can help not only pull us out of scarcity mindset, but also work with the challenging aspects of our lives with wisdom and grace leading the way. Gratitude pulls us out of that perfectionistic mindset. It reminds us of the precious moments we do have and that we are capable of making a difference, even if we are imperfect in our endeavors. It is the effort and intention that counts, not the outcome. When we focus on endeavoring to live out our core values, we can open our perspective to seeing how we are being empowered and guided in moving towards greater alignment. So, with this in mind, let's see how we can shift the narrative from scarcity to abundance through engaging in gratitude. I want you to pause. Take a look around you and see all that you have in front of you. Do you have shelter, clothes, a bed to sleep in? Were you able to eat today? What opportunities do you have to focus on a passion of yours? These are all aspects of our daily lives that get taken for granted, but are worthy of taking a moment to offer a humble and sincere thank you to the universe for supplying what you do have. I have personally been going through and working on decluttering my home, doing what I can to minimize what I have while offering my excess to those who are in need. The more we begin to see through a lens of I have enough and I am enough, the whole narrative changes. We begin to focus more on the pay it forward stories in society, and we can more readily see the moments of ordinary living that suddenly become magical. We could start to become grateful for the opportunity to breathe, receive, and give. Shame dissolves into empowerment as we celebrate our strengths and recognize our gifts. Gratitude invites us into adventure. Wow, I'm breathing. I'm alive. What kind of adventure awaits this day? Whether we are met by pleasant or unpleasant surprises, seen through a lens of curiosity pulls us into a childlike mindset that is filled with resilience, playfulness, and wonder. In this regard, I am reminded of watching an infant or toddler learning how to walk. That toddler stumbles and falls so many times, but the adventure of walking, of finally getting it, of the pursuit of mastery is all that is needed to encourage that toddler to try and try again. What if we approach life with a little more childlike wonder? How would the stressors lose their grip and pave a way for creative solutions to emerge? Can you begin to see how gratitude can support us in shaping a new reality? The scarcity mindset can be equated to the victim mindset. We can see this victim mindset all around us as our leaders fail to take responsibility for their actions, project their fears and insecurities onto others, and gaslight themselves and others into believing that this material world is the end all be all. It creates an endless hankering rooted in a made up story that is based on life turning out differently than the image we had in our head. The great call of gratitude is recognizing that we are right where we are supposed to be. We are given the opportunity to learn lessons on this journey called life. And it recognizes that we are not alone in our endeavors. When we realize we have a brilliant, merciful, and all-loving co-creator who sees past, present, and future, we can start to open up to the way life is working for us and through us rather than against us. This is no easy task as it forces us to face our own shortcomings, mistakes, and ways we have gaslit ourselves into believing the false narratives that no longer serve our highest purpose. As we confront our own role in our lives, we will invariably be met with a deeper reality check. The majority of society is locked in a mindset of scarcity, and we are all doing our best to navigate. It is up to me to change the way I navigate my life, and I can't force anyone into bending towards my will or changing them to meet my needs. What does this confrontation do deep within our hearts? It opens us up to seeing with equal vision. It opens us up to living in compassion, and it opens us up to understanding toxic behaviors without condoning them. It allows us to remember what is most important, seeing how our past has shaped our present and how circumstances have come into our lives to offer us a new perspective, a new reality, and a new lease on life, should we choose to embrace the lessons. The more we lean into gratefulness in our daily lives, the more we open space in our hearts to receive love, abundance, and ultimate satisfaction. There is a quote I found the other day that speaks to holding the paradox of grief and gratitude in sacred contemplation. Francis Weller says, "The work of the mature person is to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other hand, and to be stretched large by them. How much sorrow can I hold? That is how much gratitude I can give. If I carry only grief, I'll bend towards cynicism and despair. If I have only gratitude, I'll become saccharine and I won't develop much compassion for other people's suffering. Grief keeps the heart fluid and soft, which helps make compassion possible." As we move forward in offering some practical steps in cultivating more gratitude, I want to offer a story from Brother David Steindl-Rast, as he is one who came up with some practical options for us to lean into. He is a Benedictine monk who survived the atrocities of the Holocaust. He witnessed the adversities, the literal material scarcity, and the unknown firsthand. I am deeply aware there are many in this country who are facing similar atrocities, oppression, and hatred directed toward them. His story can offer a glimmer of hope in the midst of the darkness. Those who survived the concentration camps and the severe oppression survived on the recognition of community pulling together to make the most of what life handed them. They shared what little they had with one another. They leaned into faith, imagination, and creativity. Many documented instances of those who survive lean into these aspects of how they survived. Those who tapped into their gifts, tapped into imagination, and tapped into serving the community are the ones who not only survived, but they thrived once the atrocities had ended. Let's take a look at Brother Steindl-Rast's stop, look, go methodology. When faced with doubt, fear, scarcity, or shame, we can stop. What do you see around you? What is your body trying to tell you? What blessings surround you at this moment? These questions open us up to possibility. Look, what other perspectives do I need to consider? What values am I trying to uphold? Where does the greatest opportunity lie? And what patterns do I notice that can guide my next steps forward? In relation to patterns, I heard it said the other day, when we recognize our own self-limiting patterns, we cultivate an opportunity to create a new event, change the narrative, flip the script. Often we are stuck in one moment in time, one heartbreak, one moment of abuse, and we allow that to define our lives. When we stop and look, we open up to see new events, moments where we were loved and supported, moments that help us to shape a new reality. As this takes shape, then we can go. We can take action through wisdom. We can seek ways to pay it forward. We can find new ways of responding that support our journeys and recognize that the only one we can change is ourselves. With this in mind, we can step forward into each decision with conscious awareness and wisdom. One thing I am thinking about as I ponder this method is the profound way it pulls us out of that scarcity mindset through shining the lamp of curiosity. When we become curious about our circumstances, those old patterns and automatic reactions will start to fall away. Brene Brown speaks of 8 seconds of discomfort. If we can pause and breathe for 8 seconds, the initial discomfort will ease and our clarity will begin to return. I have just learned recently that in times of being triggered, the blood flow in our brains retreats from our reasoning centers to our automatic reactions. If we can halt this through conscious awareness, breathing through the trigger and halting that blood flow shift, we can more wisely approach our responses through the lens of abundance. We shift from fear to love, from shame to integrity, and from distress to empowerment. Stop, take a deep breath, look, scan for new and fresh perspectives. Go, step forward with wisdom and values leading the way. We are all different and will find our own unique ways of cultivating gratitude, but I wanted to throw out some various options for you to ponder. As you look at this list, which option stands out to you the most? What small action can you take to stop, look, and appreciate the life you do have? How can you choose to pay it forward out of a sense of grateful abundance? I am coming up on 2 years of what I like to call Krishna magic journaling. As I go to bed, I ask, what little moments of magic happened in my day today? I write them down in a journal, and right before I go to bed, I turn to Krishna with a humble, thank you, Krishna, for showing me how you're showing up in my life. It has been truly amazing to witness my vision transform, and I am naturally stepping into an abundance mindset more often as I continue to practice this one simple daily activity. One of my spiritual teachers offered wisdom when it comes to shifting towards a perspective of counting our blessings. She encourages us to look back, look forward, look within, and look around us. What do we see? How have we been carried through what we thought we may not survive? How has life proven we receive what is meant for us? When have we felt the nourishing comfort of loving mercy coming from deep within our souls? And how have we turned our own sorrow around through serving another in some small way? Counting our blessings can help us recognize the ways abundance appears all around us, if only we choose to see it. Finally, I want to offer a little reminder that our own divine best friend sees us in our wholeness. He not only overlooks our flaws, but often uses those flaws and our perceived heartbreaks as doorways to serving the greater good. Our hearts, filled with this divine loving presence, are large enough to hold the weight of our grief and the joy of our gratitude simultaneously, knowing they both serve the higher purpose of learning to embrace life in our full humanity while remaining amazed by the spark of divine essence residing deep within us. As we close out today, I simply want to say thank you for showing up with a desire to learn, grow, and progress. That desire will open up unimaginable possibilities as you lean into faith, gratitude, curiosity, and adventure every day. I want to wish you well in all ways. Namaste.